right, looks like we're live. Hello, HandyCon 2024. This is Christopher Moore. You might remember me from the Flamingo Handshake auctions back in the day, and I'm back now with Niels Peel, the founder and CEO of Aki Labs and the Postmesh Foundation. And I linked up with Mike to bring him to this conference today because all of us are domainers, and he's working on a project that deals with augmented reality and spatial computing. And the topic today is going to be spatial domains. As the interfaces of the future change, it might make domains less valuable. So it's kind of a counterpoint to probably a lot of stuff you've heard on the previous sessions and other domaining things. So I'm going to kick it off to Niels, and if there's time towards the end, we might have some time for questions, but if not, I'll let Niels go on about spatial computing, finding location, and navigating online or in space in the future. Niels, I'll hand it off to you.
All right. Hey, good morning from Hong Kong. Yeah, I'm here to talk a little bit about how spatial computing is likely to change some of how we expect the internet to work normally. And by spatial computing, I don't mean fancy headsets, although headsets are a part of the spatial computing movement. The real thing that is happening with spatial computing is that computers are starting to understand physical space. You could say that spatial computing really is the art of teaching computers to understand physical space. When Apple called the Vision Pro a spatial computer, in the intro announcement, Tim Cook actually said, just as the Macintosh introduced us to personal computers and the iPhone introduced us to mobile computers, the Vision Pro is an introduction to spatial computers. It's not that it's a headset that makes it a spatial computer. The thing that makes it a headset is that it understands physical space. And when a computer understands physical space, you can start putting digital information in physical space. And this has huge implications, of course, for things like augmented reality and the metaverse built on augmented reality, but also for drones, robotics, self-driving. It turns out that computers don't have a good understanding of their place in the world normally. So spatial computing has been one of the secret buzzwords before even Apple released the headset. If you look at the 7 big tech companies in the top 10 companies by market cap, all of these companies have invested very, very heavily, on the order of billions in the last few years, into spatial computing. If you think of Tesla as an AI company, for example, one of the things that makes Tesla a very competitive AI company is the quality of their spatial computing. One of the biggest assets they have is that they have millions of cameras out in the world reconstructing an external digital memory of what the world looks like so that their cars, their robots, can navigate the world. And when information is stored in physical space, when it's indexed by physical space, information discovery ends up being different. What we are building at the Postmesh is something that we also call domains. A domain is a representation of a physical space, self-hosted, the way a website can be self-hosted if you want it to be. And when you connect to a domain, the computer gets an immediate understanding of its physical surroundings. It's like you can connect to a sense of space. But not only that, within the domain, you can also share spatial data, like observations. What am I looking at? What am I perceiving? So that any individual computer can understand the scene better than they could from just their own sensors. So we believe that decentralized domains, sovereign domains that you own, and you can invite devices to come visit you, and a protocol on top of that that allows robots, machines, computers to move between domains, to hop on and hop off into these collaborative spatial computing clusters. We think that's a necessary part of the future of the internet. The alternative would be pretty nightmarish, actually. since spatial computing is necessary for this future spatial internet, and a positioning service is necessary if we are to imagine a centralized positioning service, a company like Google or Microsoft helping every computer understand where they are, that would be quite akin to like one company owning the internet. I am a very strong believer that spatial computing and everything that comes with it, augmented reality in particular, for me personally, is going to be as impactful as the previous big computer revolutions we've seen. We can expect spatial computing to have as big an impact as the rise of mobile computers. We can expect spatial computing to have as big an impact as the rise of personal computers. We can have spatial computing to have as big an impact as the internet. Just like computers touched every industry eventually, and mobile computers touched every industry eventually, spatial computing will touch every industry eventually. The trend we are in history now that has just begun is that the world's information is getting indexed by physical space so that spatial computers can navigate the spatial internet. And our concept of domains as a physical representation or a digital representation of a physical space that you can collaboratively perceive in a trustless way backed by a blockchain reputation system, we think that's going to be an essential part of the internet itself in the coming years.
Cool. I can give a demo of spatial, an example of a spatial domain that we just tested a day or two ago. Let me see if I can get it on the computer here. If I can get a video.
So while Chris is loading that, I'll explain again that a domain is a self-hostable digital representation of a physical space that has been made accessible and machine readable in an interoperable way so that many different kinds of devices, many different kinds of applications can use this digital representation in real time collaboratively to reason about space. So our company is focusing on a couple of applications on top of the post mesh, on top of domains, for example, helping retailers and retail staff navigate the store better. When you have a digital copy of your store that is navigable by AR, even a first day employee can find every product in the first 20 minutes of them working there. This is meaningful, of course. If you've ever worked in retail, as I have, you know that the staff turnover in retail is incredibly high. A fun back of the napkin calculation you can do is that Walmart spends around $100 million every year just on first day salaries, $100 million. So being able to put digital information in physical space is bound to be really, really disruptive for industries like retail, like warehousing, like hospitality, really any kind of physical business. And a big driver of this is artificial intelligence, because AI is very soon going to be both the best and the cheapest worker for a lot of tasks. But AI can only understand digital things, and a physical business is not a digital thing. So without something like a post-mesh domain that allows the physical space to be collaboratively understood in real time, the AI does not even have access to join that kind of workforce.
Okay, the video I have is on my desktop, and my browser doesn't allow me to share. So sorry about that. I'll try and get it into the group later after the talk. But
maybe I'm allowed to share my screen and I can show something here.
Yeah, I was thinking of the blimp video.
Sure, I can pull up the blimp video. We're right here in our Discord now, looking under the hood, seeing all of our dirty secrets, looking for the creative channel. So here, for example, this is what Chris wanted to show, a city scale experience where augmented reality information is accessible for visiting devices. So this is not a scene that is invented on my phone. This is part of a domain. We're here in Kowloon Bay. So by being able to calibrate into this scene, the post mesh helping me get my position in this scene I can see this digital scene. So in a sense, a post-mesh domain can very meaningfully be thought of as virtual real estate in the same way that traditional domain names are virtual real estate.
And currently, the way that you access that is there's that QR code on the lamppost, and that creates, that's what we would call the domain that tells the device that you're in that space. And then the blimp and the flying objects, spaceships, whatever those were, are things that exist in that domain.
So the big, why are there QR codes, right? The big problem of positioning is that unless we live in a simulation, there is no absolute coordinate system that you can tap into. Things like the GPS are way too imprecise, like not even close to precise enough to doing an experience like this. You want to have accuracy of a few centimeters in positioning, and GPS in a big modern city like Hong Kong is lucky if it can put you on the same city block. The reason for this is GPS is actually a line of sight based technology. You need to be able to see a couple of satellites in the sky for it to work well. And very rare to find a piece of land in Hong Kong where you can see a couple of satellites from where you're standing. So the GPS is already dead. People just haven't really woken up to that fact. So new positioning systems are needed. This is why the big 7 tech companies have invested so much in spatial computing, and a lot of them have invested in centralized visual positioning systems. Like Google has a very, very amazing one, for example, called the Spatial API. But the way centralized visual positioning systems work is that you share your camera feed with the centralized provider. You tell them what you're looking at, and they compare that to the external memory of what the scene looks like that's stored in their cloud. And they compute for you where you are. So the trade is, if you tell Google what you're looking at, Google will tell you where you are. The post-mesh is an attempt to invert this workflow. So you can instead calculate your own position and ask data from the external memory, so that you don't have to share what you're looking at. Instead, the domain has to share information with you so that you can do your own privacy-preserving computation. Of course, if you're an ad-driven company, that's not what you would want to do, but that's also why the decentralization movement is so meaningful and why DPIN is so meaningful. We believe that a DPIN, a decentralized machine perception network, which is essentially what the post-mesh is going to drive the physical discovery of information in the spatial internet era.
And with that said, so the post-mesh is live today. We have over 300 nodes operating. We recently open sourced the node code. There'll be more open source releases in the future. We're going to be releasing, I think in the next month, the domain service, and so you can create domains in your house. If you have an NFT, you could like put it, create an augmented reality NFT gallery in your office, your shop, your home, wherever. These are some of the things we have coming up. We also have a token launch at some point in the next few months. We raised a bunch of money in 2021. We have operating tech, and didn't want to launch the token until that was out. Additionally, I know there's a lot of developers and technical people in the HNS and Handshake community that also value decentralization and also love to create things. So we have a thing called the ConjureKit SDK, where you can create your own augmented experiences and run them on the post-mesh and use these domains to basically start to interact and build in the spatial internet of the future. I'll let Niels jump in if there was anything there that you might want to add.
A minor note that we're retiring the ConjureKit branding to keep it simple. It's a post-mesh SDK. So you can get the post-mesh SDK and build your own applications that make use of domains, that make use of the international post-mesh network that we've already built up. You'd be joining other companies small and big like Animoca, building the future of spatial experiences. And again, what's so special about the solution is that it allows the spatial computing to be collaborative, so you can see things together. You've been able to see things in AR for many, many years, but what you haven't been able to do until now is effortlessly show someone else on their device in the exact same place where you are seeing the content. So the post mesh allows for the first time for you to put AR art on your wall and other people will see it. Other people will see it. And we thought back in 2021 that this was going to be really impactful for NFTs as well, in the sense that NFTs was the first part of helping the public's imagination understand that digital things can be real, right? Digital things can be real. We think that when you see digital things together in physical space, the way shared augmented reality does, that really drives the message home. It really helps you feel like this digital thing is real. So yeah, the post mesh, now it's real.
We have a question from the audience, Niels. Yes, screw Google, but apart from GPS, aren't devices already more relying on Wi-Fi and BLE scanning and comparing that to open IP location databases?
Absolutely, devices are doing that. But even with Wi-Fi scanning, you are not getting positions better than 1 or 2 meters typically, which is nowhere near good enough for something like robotics or shared augmented reality. You can do Wi-Fi triangulation. In fact, you probably already know that both your iPhone and your Android is constantly listening to what Wi-Fi networks you are in range of and using some simple heuristics based on network strength to estimate how far away you are from that Wi-Fi node. And that will do better positioning for you. But again, at scale in a city like Hong Kong, it works worse. And it's still, even in the best conditions, not precise enough. So Wi-Fi is very helpful. It's better than GPS, but it's also not good enough. You know, the email was better than the fax machine, but a chat is better than an email. And we're going through that journey again.
Also, Niels, it's quite interesting, the overlap of AI, blockchain, and spatial computing. Maybe you can go a little bit deeper on how AI and spatial computing can interact today and in the future, and what that means.
So when Jan LeCun, the head of AI at Meta, went on Lex Friedman earlier this week, I think, he said that AI is still missing 4 important things for it to truly become as useful as he would like. One is a sense of physical space. The second is a memory, so it can learn from its experiences. The third is planning, and the fourth is reasoning. Starting up here with the sense of physical space, this is what I've already hinted on. Machines can only understand the digital information. Without spatial computing, an AI just does not understand the physical world. If you want a robot that can look at the world and understand the world, you're in the field of spatial computing already. Collaborative spatial computing is the idea that 2 machines should be able to form an opinion of the world together, which is one of the big technical challenges. It's relatively simple to make a robot that can on its own kind of build up a map of its surroundings and stop bumping into the same wall over and over. It's a lot harder to make that map be collaborative with other robots of the same kind. And it hasn't been done yet to make a collaborative map that can be accessed by any robot. And that's what the post mesh is working on.
Excellent. Do we have any questions from the audience? I see someone asking if this can work with Handshake. One of my motivations for bringing Niels on here today is I know a lot of you are technically inclined and doing stuff in the decentralized web using HNS domains and things like IPFS and decentralized storage. And I was hoping to bring Niels on here just to introduce this topic, and maybe somebody has ideas for building out on HNS and completely decentralizing with the spatial computing and the APIs that we offer. So can this work on Handshake? That's for the community to decide. And I'm sure if anybody had some ideas and was building on that, we will have grant programs coming up in the future. So reach out to me or reach out to Niels. We're looking forward to support these type of projects. So that is an opportunity that is definitely open.
I think it's very important, unironically, that the positioning framework of the future is decentralized and not owned by a corporation. That is unironically of civilizational importance. So it's important for us to come speak to the decentralization community and communities like this community to spitball for the sake of, really the thriving of our civilization. How can we make sure that the spatial internet, which is for sure the next version of the internet, how do we make sure that this version of the internet does not end up being owned by Google? So far, we've really been just barely getting by in keeping the internet free. Companies like Meta and Google and Twitter have way too much power over us already. And I really hope that the decentralization community, now in the age of AI and the age of spatial computing, will start rallying around the importance of the decentralization of this tech stack. Because I genuinely believe it's more important to decentralize spatial computing than it is to decentralize the bank. People can do more harm to us as a civilization by always knowing what we're looking at than controlling the money supply.
Maybe go into more details on how the big tech looking through our eyes when these devices become glasses, and maybe also talk about the potential that we may have the opportunity to do with the post mesh to create augmented reality experiences via this technology without cameras or any of that invasive.
So, again, for really fine-grained positioning, every major tech company, without exception, every major tech company has adopted the hypothesis that visual positioning is the way to go. And visual positioning means that you will be comparing your camera feed or information derived from your camera feed to an external memory of what the world looks like. So again, using Google as an example, they built a 3D model of the world using the billions of photos taken by Google Street View, the cars. And that's super, super impressive. Like it's one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most impressive engineering projects that humanity has ever done. But it's also really, really scary, because what it is you tell Google what you're looking at, they will tell you where you are. And this is how companies like Google and Niantic and Microsoft imagine the future of AR glasses working. That in a world where you wear AR glasses all day, they know where you're looking all day. And not only do they know where you're looking, but because they need to look at your eyes for other reasons related to better rendering quality and battery consumption and helping you with the interface, they will even know how you feel about what you're looking at. And I think it's important to remember that when Meta was asked if they would ever use this data, sell this data to other people, they preferred not to comment. Like this is a real threat. This is happening now. This is already being built. This surveillance technology has already been deployed and it's already working. They're just striving to get adoption now. So as the decentralization community, we have to not only build a better product, which I think we are, but we also have to drive adoption faster than the big tech companies. And that's only something we can do together as a community.
Okay, we have 3 minutes left, and there's 2 questions from the audience. One is spatial, and I'll drop them both, and then this will be basically wrapped up after this. Spatial computing doesn't sound like it cares much about borders. Do we think that large tech companies will run into jurisdiction problems since they are incorporated within geographical territories, forcing them to create or adopt D-Web tech? And then the second one is, why are you not mentioning Apple? Any specific reasons? So,
I don't think that the issues that corporations will face with legislation will be enough to force them to really decentralize. They haven't had to decentralize that much yet. Like, yes, Google will have many data centers in many different jurisdictions. But Google having many data centers, to me, that's not decentralization. I don't think there are sufficient legal challenges to the corporations to really make them adopt DWeb. I didn't mention Apple very much because Apple doesn't do collaborative spatial computing at all. Apple is the good guy so far in the spatial computing race in that they don't give anyone, even themselves, access to the camera feed. So we'll see where Apple goes from here. Apple has made a visual positioning system that can work for your phones, like you can use it, but the Vision Pro doesn't use it. And I think that's very meaningful. I'm hopeful that Apple will continue to drive responsible standards for privacy, but also the way that Apple has solved this right now with the Vision Pro is essentially making the Vision Pro incapable of collaborative spatial computing, at least for now. That's why you have never seen a demo of two people wearing Vision Pros seeing the same thing in the same place. That is so far not possible to do on the Vision Pro.
Perfect. And our time is up. Thank you for joining the conference, Niels. Thanks, Mike, for creating the opportunity for us to come on here and talk about spatial domains and the future ahead. And I hope some of you in the audience or those that watch after the fact reach out and get involved, build on the post mesh. You can support us with nodes, build AR experiences. We're open.
Reach out on Twitter or on Discord. We are discord.gg/Aukiverse, AUKIVERSE. I'm Brood Sugar, like blood sugar, but with an R on Twitter. My DMs are open. We are aukilabs.com, AUKILabs.com.
And postmesh.org. All right.
POSEMESH.org.
Over and out. You guys can close the chat.